14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into episode 25. Episode 25 already. Hometown Threads here on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Keith C. Rice back in here. We'll get to our very special guest in just a sec. Hometown Threads has been coming your way since the middle of November. And hard to believe we're already up to episode 25. It's brought to you by Liberty Bank. Be community kind. Thank you to Liberty Bank and their three great local locations, West Main Street, Willimantic, Gateway Commons. And my wife, Marianne Gargoni, the branch manager there. Angela Smart runs the branch across the street from the radio station at 679 Main Street, Willimantic. And then we have Carrie Small up at Route 195 in the Mansfield branch. Liberty Bank, be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you, Roddy. This is showing you. Say hello to everyone, J. Matt Rufar.
Hello.
Our fine producer behind the board, of course, the crew at Willimantic Today. Big thanks to everyone who makes Hometown Threads go every week on the radio, Tuesdays 5:05 on WILI, and then Willimantic Today. Usually it gets up there on Wednesdays and is pinned atop the page for a week on Willimantic Today Facebook. Before we get to Roddy, our special guest here, I just want to mention, I don't mean to start the show off on a sad note, but I think this needs to be mentioned because when we talk Hometown Threads, we have big community members on here, names that people know, longtime business owners that have great stories to share, and week to week, it's just a thrill and an honor to have these people in here. But the reason why I want to bring up a big name of someone who's connected to me who passed away, and the reason why I wasn't here last week and we had a rerun, Lenny Nice Guy Incandela passed away. I'm connected to Lenny. He's like my wife's uncle, and he passed away this past Wednesday, May 31st. And they called him a nice guy. He was more than just a nice guy. He touched so many lives, and he was a car salesman for years at Champaign. So rest in peace, nice guy. We miss you, and praying for strength and healing to Sharon, his wife, and Lenny's family. And we'll definitely always remember Lenny. And it just brought so many memories to our lives. So rest in peace, Lenny Nice Guy Incandela. All right, here we go. Hometown 25 of, I said it again, episode 25 of Hometown Threads here on WILI and Willimantic Today Facebook. And it's a pleasure to bring in a man I've known for years. And we've been connected through the Knights of Columbus over the past few years as well. Roddy J. McCumber.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
fellow Sir
that's
Knight.
right.
Fellow
Sir,
Sir
I'm
Knight.
sorry, Sir Roddy, and I guess Sir Keith. So should we call each other Sir for the entire 25 minutes here?
All fourth degree Knights.
Yes.
The Knights of Columbus.
And boy, it was an honor to celebrate. My father was part of that ceremony. My father's also a Sir fourth degree Knight.
Very proud.
And I've been a Grand Knight with the Council 14 over here at San Jose, Willimantic Council 14 for 3 years. I'll be stepping down actually in the next few months, but I'll still be active in the council. Roddy, very active in the Knights, but he's been active in so many things throughout the years. And right now you are currently the emergency vehicle engineer for the Lebanon Fire Department, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he also, along with, of course, being a Sir Knight, fourth degree, he is the driver for the Lebanon Senior Center. And this is just, you're talking about somebody who's retired, what, 2016?
2016, I retired. Yes,
He's retired, but he's still very busy. So,
yes, sir.
You're a big name in this community. Tell us about growing up in Willimantic. That's where we usually start with all our guests. Roddy J.
Sure. So, well, first of all, thank you for joining in, and thank you for joining in the podcast here and listening to the podcast and watching us on video as well. My heartfelt sympathy to Lenny Incandela's family as well, along with yours as well. Truly a nice guy, Lenny Nice Guy Incandela. So with that, prayers and thoughts to Lenny and his family. So back to me. My name is Roddy Joe McCumber. I was born and grew up in Willimantic. I'm the only child, no brothers or sisters. For schooling in the area, I went to Sweeney School up on Oak Hill Drive for a kindergarten. St. Joseph, St. Mary's School. St. Joseph's School is where Willimantic has their Knights of Columbus get-togethers now. And I went there from grade 1 through grade 4, then went from grade 5 through grade 8, at St. Mary's School.
By the way, I wish I
next
could
door.
get you to come to our council, but no, he's
Yes.
Lebanon and Colchester have merged now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Their churches and the councils, pretty much.
Doing quite well up there.
Yes, very nice. Continuing on education, went to Wyndham High School, class of 1978, and also attended Eastern Connecticut State College back then.
That's right. It was ECSC.
Yes, and not ECSU, Eastern Connecticut State College, back class of 1982. So a little bit about my family that I had here in Willimantic, born and brought up in Willimantic. My dad, Rod McCumber, operated Rod's Barbershop, presently at where J&S Radio Shop is right now, 1149 Main Street.
Is that why you have such perfect hair?
I
Look
have
at that.
but gray.
What
Right
would I
now.
give to have a head of hair like that? That's serious.
There we go. Being with the barbershop here on Main Street, long-time barber, 45 years.
I never knew your dad did that.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
45 years.
Yep, had his shop right on Main Street. In fact, kind of jealous, other barbers jealous of him because Rod had his barbershop on Main Street. Plenty of parking. A lot of the other barbers, not so much. They would be off of Main Street, not having a thoroughfare or good spot for barbershops. So he would have his shop there. And again, 45 plus years. My mom, Charlotte, was employed by Barker's. I don't know if you know where Barker's is.
I remember
in Willimantic.
Barker's. I was quite young, but Barker's were Super Stop and Shop is now, right?
Exactly correct. So my mom was employed by Barker's and also Electromotive, which is on South Park Street over here now, for her jobs. Being in Willimantic and being in Willimantic all my life, I was parishioner of St. Joseph's Church here. At St. Joseph's Church, they had a Cub Scout, Boy Scout pack, number 32, which I was a Cub Scout, a Weeblo Scout, and a Boy Scout for pack 32. And continuing on a little bit older in my career, being part of Willimantic, I was part of the Willimantic Little League. And I was a member of the team called Hurley's.
Of course. Let's talk about this for a second because
sir.
I know you and I are about. You played in the 70s. I played the 80s in the Willimantic Little League. Medical Pharmacy was my team, 1984 Little League champs.
Affirmative.
And Hurley's was still in the league when I played as well.
Yes.
And Hurley's used to be right across the street here.
Yes, sir.
On Main Street in Willimantic. So you played for Hurley's. You played
I was
all
the-
3-4 years there?
No, in fact, kind of surprisingly, I was never picked. The very last year that I was eligible to be picked for Little League, that I was only picked because Hurley's was short a member, and they wanted to have a member pick. So the other teams never really did pick me, never did pick me for all the years I tried out for the 3 years prior to it. However, my last year, Hurley's, Mr. Contos, just up the road here, ran Lamort's stationery store.
We'll get into Lamort's.
Yes, yes.
So you were a
He
pitcher?
picked me, and I, tallest person on his team, and made me the pitcher. And thank you very much, Mr. Contos, Hurley's, and me, was able to get the championship for that year.
That's awesome. Now, let's go back to Lamort's for a second.
Yes, sir.
Because now, what years were you, well, you didn't work at Lamort's, right? Or
No.
I remember Lamort's. It was a convenience store, baseball cards, newspapers.
Oh, yes.
I used to get my baseball cards there at like Southside Superette, too. I used to get them over there. But Lamort's was definitely one of my stops on Main
Yes.
Street. We used to be right next door to the old YMCA.
And they had Hallmark cards. You would always go in there to get birthday cards, anniversary cards,
right.
Christmas cards, and so forth. But Mr. Contos was our coach, and picking me, and I had a great time for the one and only year I was in Little League. But to become pitcher, and
That's great.
And we won the championship that year.
You guys won the championship as well?
We did.
See, it was you were meant to be on that team.
We're twins.
That's
Practically
right.
Twins. Maybe a few years in
Do
between.
you remember? And I was 84 when I won it. Do you remember what year? I know it was 70.
73, 74,
Look at
because it
that.
had to be 12 and 13
All
years
right.
old.
So 1973 Little League champs, 1984. All
Yes,
right.
sir. Yes, sir. My
You have a strong interest for radio.
Yes,
too.
yes, I do. In fact, how I became interested in radio was right next to my dad's barbershop, Rod's Barbershop on Main Street, 1149 Main Street. There was a place called B&N Radio TV Repair.
I think I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
B&N stand for Bombria and Nichols. And being right next to my dad's shop, there was a person there named Rick Nichols. Rick Nichols was totally blind.
Wow.
And he was able to take and put himself through school and put himself through training to be able to work on radios, TVs, refrigerators even, and feeling his way around with positive and negative leads on wires that I remember seeing him, Keith, grab wires and trying to hold it, not able to see them, and would literally whoop.
Are you kidding me?
And he would get burnt on his fingernails.
And he'd do this multiple times a day?
Multiple times a day.
Oh my
But he
God.
was the '1 radio TV repair person in the area. So
And how many years did he do that?
55 years. 55 years
God
total
bless him.
altogether.
Wow.
And right next to my dad's shop, being next to my dad's shop, it was the person there, Rick Nichols' son, Ricky Nichols, who became my BFF. He was 5 years older than me, and when my dad would be busy in the barber shop, he would send me next door to be with Ricky, and spending time with Ricky and spending time with his dad was just the spark that ignited in me for radio. And I was always interested in radio ever since.
So that's how you got the bug.
Yes, sir.
Just hanging out with Ricky. And how old are you at this point?
9 years old, 10 years old, initially.
Not like you and I, both 9 and 10 got the radio bug.
Yep, exactly correct.
Now,
And Ricky is my BFF to this day.
oh, that's awesome. That is, and you're still BFFs. Now,
Yes.
your love for radio, were you listening to WILI at that point? Because I know you said you're a big Hometown Threads fan.
Yes.
Even when I'm filling in for Wayne, I get texts from Roddy, hey, sounded great, or even when we go off the air, Roddy's like the first there to text message.
I'm there. I listen all the time. Glad to hear it. Very professional, such as you are.
Thank you, sir.
And from one person that was on radio for a long time to another person, boy, I really admire you. I really give you kudos and commendation.
Thank you,
as
sir.
to how you how you present yourself over the radio. With not only listening to WILI, that I was interested in two-way radio communications. Started out initially with CB, Citizens Band Radio. I had the call letters KJX 8157, and we had to have handles, which means like nicknames. So instead of saying Roddy to Keith,
Right.
we would have nicknames that we would use for each other. Because my dad was a barber, and because I would clean up around the barber shop and sweep off hair from the floor, that my handle was Little Shaver. Because my dad would
I
give
love it,
Shaver
Little
a
Shaver.
haircut.
Now wait, before you said KJX 8157.
Yes.
Where'd you get that number from?
That's from the Federal Communications
they gave it
Commission.
to you, okay.
Yes, that we would have to apply for a license and get a license. As I got a little bit older, when I turned 10 years old, I became a ham radio operator. I got my first ham radio license and have one ever since, with the call letters KA1BSS. Those are my call letters now.
Sir Little Shaver, Roddy J. McCumber is our guest for episode 25 here on Hometown Threads, 14 WILI, 95.3 FM, and Willimantic Today Facebook. Brought to you by Liberty Bank, be community kind. So you have a love not only for radio, but for ham radio as well. I got a question before we continue a little
Certainly.
more about what you did here.
Certainly.
What do you love even to this day, radio or ham radio better?
Both are very interesting. Ham radio may be a little more interesting because you can talk to people. Where radio, being a radio listener, or as I've heard yourself and Wayno talk about getting emails, getting text messages from people around the world listening to WILI, listening long distance, or DX is what they call
Yes,
it.
did you hear the interview we had
Yes,
with
sir.
the man in, what was it? Oh, I just drew a blank. Australia? No, was it Austria or Australia?
Oh.
It was just a little while ago.
Yep.
In fact, he probably has a podcast on the website. But you know what I'm talking about.
But
It was someone on the other side of the world. In fact, I was on the commercial. You could hear it through the static. He had the guy on. I don't know if you heard that interview.
Yes, sir.
It was either Australia or Austria. And Wayno's going to knock me for forgetting that. But anyway, yeah, he was DXing, right?
DXing, meaning listening to far distance communication, where a ham radio operator, such as myself, we can talk. We can make contacts with people all over the world. We have Morse code, the ability to send messages through Morse code,
Yeah.
also through phone, which is microphone, that we can talk to people. Very low power, small antennas, big antennas, depending upon the type of situation that you want, the frequencies that you're on. And to make friends with people I'll never see.
Isn't
I'll
that-
never
that is-
see
it's-
at all.
that
at
is
all.
so fascinating.
Just to talk over the air and hear their voice, they hear my voice, I hear their voice, and make a friendship, make a contact.
One
with
little
them.
flashback as we experienced these young days in radio. This is how part of growing up in a radio family and following my father, my father would take me out on the back porch on a hot summer night. We'd have a thing called a super radio.
Oh,
Remember the
yes.
super
Oh, of
radios?
course. Yes, yes.
And he goes, we'd go down the AM dial and go, let's see if we'd pick up Chicago. We'd pick up
yeah.
Salt Lake City. And that's part of the reason why, another reason why I fell in love with radio, just doing stuff like that. I was so fat, I'm like, oh my goodness, here I am in Lebanon, Connecticut. I'm listening to Salt Lake City, Utah on a hot, steamy summer night. You know, it was just
amazing. And again, sparking my interest in radio that started. And I thought it would be fascinating to continue my career, that way. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no! You were still attending ECSC, not ECSU.
Yes.
And tell us about that chapter.
A very interesting little story about that. There was the president of ECSC, Eastern Connecticut State College, now known as Eastern Connecticut State University, named Charles Webb.
At the time, yeah.
At the time, and he wanted to have a little bit of a competition with WHUS, which is in Yukon, 91.7 FM, to make music, to make conversations, to make broadcasts on a radio station from Eastern Connecticut State University, which they never had. So, coming to the person in the media center, President Webb went to John Zatowski, Jay-Z, yes, that was a member of the media center for a long time. And Jay-Z, fellow ham radio operator, got with me, and we developed, licensed, and located 90.1 WECS at Eastern Connecticut State University. Initially, it was at the Media Center Tower, which is a smaller tower, lower location. But thanks to Colin K. Rice, president of
Sir Colin
K. Rice, I beg your pardon, that I knew, that we were able to get the transmitter, antenna, and transmitter moved to Gates Tower in Lebanon, Connecticut, which it is to this day, and to multiply over and over and over again the reception, the transmittable area that the signal is to be heard from. So hats off to Colin K. for getting WECS on the air.
And also you did something else at WECS in 1982. Tell us all about that.
Yes. So graduation, 1982. I didn't graduate. I did graduate, but I didn't go up on stage. I didn't have my cap and gown. President Webb wanted to broadcast graduation over 90.1 FM and to have the whole ceremony broadcast live over it. So Jay-Z, John Zatowski, President Webb came to me and said, since you developed it, since you got it established, got it relocated to where the Gates Tower is right now, we want you to broadcast it. So I would be literally, for the whole transmission, for the whole graduation ceremony, backstage. John and I would have portable ham radio walkie-talkies that we would talk back and forth to each other from the studio to me, and I would broadcast the graduation ceremony. And coming up, we have the president of the university coming up on stage right now and giving play-by-play, as Wayno does, as you do right now,
I gotta
for
say,
sports areas, to have the ceremony broadcast. The first year, 1982, my year of graduation, and the ceremony has continued ever since.
I'm a little jealous. I wish I got a chance to do something like that. That's awesome.
And it was
Wow.
really neat. The first year was at the Wyndham Tech soccer field.
Yeah.
Then it went to, if the weather would ever be inclement, it would be moved inside to Geisler Gymnasium. Then it eventually went to the Hartford Excel Center, which, because of so many people attending.
We got a lot to fit in here because there's
Yes, sir.
you have
Yes, sir.
you have so many great stories
Please.
here. Tell us about you worked at Gilson's. Remember, everyone remembers, well, a lot of people should remember, Gilson Square Cinemas was the big movie theater for years in Willimantic. You worked there as well.
Yep, back in 1981, there was a person named Phil Meadows from Meadow Enterprises in New Hampshire that came to Eastern and that was looking for a person called a projectionist. They had a brand new movie complex theater, cinema. I take it back, cinema, because a theater has a stage. So this was just a cinema, 4-screen, but ready to open up. But wow, they didn't think it all the way through. They didn't have a projectionist. So came to Eastern, asked if anybody at Eastern was a projectionist, and I was, fortunately, showing movies at Schaefer Auditorium here on Wyndham Street, and they hired me to be their chief projectionist at Gilson, initially a 4-screen cinema complex, moving on to a 6-screen cinema complex, and was there from 1981 to 1988.
One thing I don't think I've mentioned, and Roddy and I were talking about this off the air, I miss Jillson Square Cinemas as well, because working here as a teenager at WILI part-time, I also worked part-time ripping tickets in the concession over at, the late and great Jillson Square Cinemas, which is no longer there. Wow. But there's some good memories at that place. We had the Mansfield Movieplex down at Eastbrook Mall, but Jillson Square Cinemas. Now, from there, you went on to pursue continue your radio interest as well, right?
Yes. Went on initially from Jillson Cinemas, went to a person that came to us that was liked the cinemas and liked doing work at the cinemas, Mike Wenglowski from Willimantic Camera and Video, and they had a setup that they call a video transfer technician, which transferred 8mm movie film to home movies videotapes. So that was a very interesting career path as well. Continue now with that, and for my big career was being a dispatcher at the Willimantic 911 Center.
Tell us all about that.
I was there 40 years, nearly 40 years. Initially started back in 1977 when Chief Monzilla from New York came in and wanted to have civilian dispatchers, hired me as a civilian dispatcher, and again, my career from radio took off from there, being a 911 dispatcher.
Now, something special happened along this around this time. As you're becoming a dispatcher, you met the woman of your dreams, right?
You betcha. 1990, we became a 911 center, had to double our task force, had double our workforce, and there was a person that applied for a job named Betsy Petrie. Betsy Petrie was a female that was member of the Lebanon Fire Department, and always very nervous about talking with her on the air because she's a female, and I don't know what to do with females because I've always dealt with guys all my life. But as soon as she came in, put in an application to be a dispatcher, I saw her, and Keith, it was love at first sight.
I love this
I fell
story.
in love with her.
What a wonderful
And she was
story.
there, I was her trainer.
And just like yourself, Betsy's a wonderful human being as well. Hello to Betsy, and if she's listening or watching, and I love hearing that story about how Roddy and Betsy connected. So you meet Betsy, and what year was that?
2016.
Okay, and
I take it back. 1990.
1990, because we say 2016 because they just celebrated their 7th wedding anniversary on May 26th.
May 26th. Happiest 7 years of my life, truly.
So, okay, you've been with Betsy for now a little over 7 years, and you've been retired since 2016.
Yep.
And you're enjoying the Lebanon Senior Center. You do that on a part-time basis, right?
I help out there one day a week or so, driving the seniors around to their doctor's appointments, to their shopping, take them out for wellness trips. And Betsy and I just thoroughly enjoy living the life of helping others. That was our main philosophy of life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We're getting ready to close up here with Roddy J. McCumber, Sir Roddy J. McCumber, here on episode 25 of Hometown Threads, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. As we get ready to wrap it up, any closing thoughts?
Well, I'd like to say one closing thought, if I could, that I have always, and I'm writing this down, I wrote it on a script because this is my very big philosophy of life. I have always liked and felt proud to convey my wealth of knowledge and experience with others. I always like that. I truly love, believe in, and enjoy my life with my wife, Betsy. Have one final favorite saying. It's a small world. Isn't it a small world?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Between, for myself, being a CB radio operator, to being a ham radio operator, to joining the biggest career that I could think of in my life.
Knights of Columbus.
The Knights of Columbus and the 911 Center here in Willimantic, serving people for 40 plus years. That it's really amazing how things happen for a reason. I really think they happen for a reason, and it's truly a small world.
Great job. Great job. I love closing the show. We've been doing that here and there with our guests. So excellent job, Roddy J. McCumber.
And I'd like to say, with that, first of all, thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it, sir. Sir Knight. I give you a salute
Sir
as
Knight,
well.
to you.
And that I would like to say a quick message. There would always be Walt Disney and his brother Roy that would talk to each other constantly. when Roy would leave Walt's side or another businessman would leave Walt's side at night, they would always say, "Bye, Walt." Walt Disney would say, "No, don't ever say goodbye. Goodbye or bye is forever." The word that you have to use, and I'd like to share it with you, is bye for now. Bye for now. Because we will always see each other. Bye is forever. Bye for now is what we want to do. So with that, I'd like to say again, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for tuning in, folks, in podcast land.
We'll let him wrap it up. Go ahead, Roddy.
And with that, I'd like to say, God bless, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.